Closing stores, canceling sequels, remaking games we don't need. What is going on with PlayStation? The Sega Master System's Alex Kidd is coming back in a slick-looking remake, and it's almost here. And we get a peek at the insanity to come in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. All that and the latest and everything cool today in the Rundown. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for finding the Electric Playground. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, and I'm here to deliver The Rundown, which is brought to you by The Gaming Stadium. They are Canada's leader in online esports tournament facilitation. They have tournaments going on every weekend, and you don't want to miss out on the action. You can find out all about them and join up at tgs.gg. And today's episode is dedicated to Supertech saying, I think that image of Cap with all the blood will become iconic in TV lore. What an ending shot that was, and his little move of strapping the shield on tight and his stance looking at everyone like, yeah, this is me. What? So cool. I don't know. Badass. Yeah, he certainly is badass. We're going to talk about Cap in a little bit, but first, we got to figure out what Sony is up to. PlayStation speculation has been all over the internet recently thanks to a report from Jason Schreier for Bloomberg and some high-profile streams from God of War creator David Jaffe. First of all, it looks like two popular zombie games from PlayStation are on divergent paths. The Last of Us, which has already had a superb sequel and a remaster of the original game for the PS4 platform, is said to be getting the remake treatment that started, according to Bloomberg's report, at Sony San Diego and has more recently moved back internally to Naughty Dog. What makes this remake news more interesting, apart from the fact that the need for another revisit to the original Last of Us seems questionable, is that now, of course, there is a television series in the works for HBO starring Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, and there is a possibility that the Last of Us remake could be tied to the new vision for the property. Also in the report was the cancellation of a sequel to PlayStation's other big zombie action adventure, Days Gone. Sony Bend, which currently has Days Gone sitting pretty in a PS Plus position for the month of April, a move that will inevitably expose the title to millions of brand new potential fans, is said to have been disappointed by PlayStation's decision to not move forward with Days Gone 2 back in 2019. Instead, the developer, as Bloomberg reports, was tasked with working on a new game in the Uncharted series, but the creative leads were not happy with that and asked to shift focus to a brand new IP, which we don't know anything about yet. Sony Bend is also said to be working on a multiplayer component or standalone game tied to The Last of Us in partnership with Naughty Dog. Now, the Days Gone 2 pitch was said to be tied around a co-op experience in the Days Gone universe, as Days Gone's game director Jeff Ross, who is no longer at Sony Bend, explained on David Jaffe's show Gabbin' and Games. All of this news and speculation is hitting as PlayStation seems to be shifting its focus away from creating and funding quirky creative titles and closing down internal developers like Japan Studio and focusing more on big blockbuster transmedia bets like The Last of Us, Horizon, and Spider-Man, projects that can take on a life of their own across a spectrum of media. Financially, it all makes perfect sense. It's a big deal for Sony to have all of these properties that people are going to be able to watch as TV shows and movies and buy the action figures and the comic books. It all makes perfect sense, but I think a lot of people are going to miss the days of quirky titles like Gravity Rush, the Ape Escape franchise, even Parappa the Rappa used to come from the PlayStation brand. And I want to hear from you guys. Are you going to miss those days? Do you want Sony to not just bring out the big blockbusters, but also think of some of the smaller ideas? Personally, I think it's important for Sony to experiment and try different things out. We saw that with the Astrobot games. You know, Sony's got all of these incredible, talented developers that can come up with all kinds of different ways in to entertain us. It doesn't just have to be these big, massive properties. But maybe more of that quirky side of Sony is going to spring forth with whatever PlayStation has got to combat Xbox Game Pass. David Jaffe also popped up in video game news with a tease that PlayStation is working on a quote-unquote counterpunch to Game Pass. Of course, this is only a rumor at this point, but PlayStation boss Jim Ryan himself did say to Russian news agency TASS back on November 18th, 2020, when asked about competing with Game Pass, there is actually news to come, but just not today. We have PlayStation Now, which is our subscription service, and that is available in a number of markets. Interestingly enough, PlayStation Now not available in Russia. Now, with the news that PlayStation is shutting down the PS3, the PSP, and Vita stores this summer, and the fact that some patches for PS3 games are already not downloading, not to mention the fact that people that are digging into the PlayStation 4 are just now learning that users will not be able to play physical or digital games with a bad or missing CMOS battery in the console. This has been reported by WCCF Tech and others. Now, a move for Sony to launch an inclusive, all-you-can-eat, fierce competitor to Xbox Game Pass could be seen as a great solution to combat the PR nightmare that video game obsolescence is becoming, especially in the face of high-profile efforts that Xbox seems to be taking with regards to game preservation. Software tied to hardware is one thing, but software tied to hardware and an online account that won't work when servers are unplugged or when a battery dies inside the hardware is something else entirely. We're moving towards a digital streaming, account-based, platform-agnostic future in all forms of entertainment, and it's only a matter of time for Game Pass to become as ubiquitous a standard in the games industry as Netflix is in linear entertainment. Personally, I think Sony should fold PS Now into PS Plus and offer a massive collection of legacy content, plus all of their brand new first-party releases for a monthly cost. I think just like Game Pass, their games should be downloadable and playable on the PlayStation 5 and PC, and also streamable on mobile platforms out there. They're already doing a bunch of this. I think they should just simplify the messaging and offer all of those first-party releases right out of the gate, right as they're launching, to bring more subscribers into the fold. Now, this won't be a way to soothe the collectors out there who love physical media, but it will show that PlayStation cares about their legacy content, and it will also kind of future-proof their entertainment as people transition to replacement or alternative hardware down the road. Now, I also do think that Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox should figure out a solution for those physical media collectors out there. They should provide consoles that will play some of that legacy physical stuff, or work with partners like Analog or Polymega or something, so that there are physical systems out there that will play PlayStation 1, 2, 3, and 4 media, regardless of these consoles being hooked up to the internet or not. I just think that there's money being left on the table, and honestly, all aspects of the fandom out there should be serviced. There should be an opportunity for people that want to play the physical stuff to still be able to do that, and they shouldn't have everything tied to an internet connection or an online account if they don't want that. I think that there are hardware manufacturers out there that are trying to kind of figure out this path, and there's huge brick and mortar retailers out there like GameStop who could really benefit from that collectability of the video game industry. But I also feel that there should be a digital solution that allows players to go back into an archive and also play the stuff that's coming out that's brand new. And so, you know, Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox should be playing with all aspects of this and still preserving the past in a bunch of different ways. But let me know what you guys think. Is PlayStation making the right moves here? Should they just be thinking about the massive blockbusters? Should they be ignoring this idea of Game Pass that Xbox has proposed out there? Or should these companies be really thinking about the past and figuring out ways for people to preserve their physical media collections and find new ways for people to play those classic cartridges and discs? Always big changes in the video game industry, but also always big changes in the MCU. After the incredible episode last week that really showcased the true personality of John Walker, the Captain America that no one wants, Marvel and Disney Plus dropped a mid-season trailer to hype up the final 2 episodes of this season. Now, obviously, there's some spoilery stuff in this mid-season trailer and in my commentary, so if you want to be surprised, cover your eyes and plug your ears. But let's take a look at what Marvel dropped today. Now, first of all, we get a recap of why Bucky is so pissed that Sam gave up the shield. We get some imagery of the new Cap kind of abusing his power and his status. We get a snippet of John Walker also getting his ass kicked by the Dora Milaje. Baron Zemo is stamping out vials of super soldier serum. Of course, we get to see the Falcon and the Winter Soldier throwing themselves into harm's way. We get a flash of John Walker's horrific murder of one of the Flag Smashers. We also get a quick glimpse of Isaiah Bradley, who I really hope we get a little bit more from in the last couple of episodes. I think that is an amazing story and an amazing part of the Captain America lore. And the trailer ends with Sam and Bucky going face to face with John Walker, the new Captain America, and we just know that there's going to be an electric showdown, a massive battle. We also know, based on interviews from the showrunner, that there's going to be an epic Marvel cameo from a character that hasn't been in the MCU before. Very excited to see what that's going to be. I think it's going to be in this week's episode, but I really want to see more from that Isaiah Bradley story. It was a very interesting subplot. We got Falcon and Bucky meeting the older Isaiah Bradley, who is, understandably pissed off based on the treatment that he received. I just think this series, this kind of section of the MCU is just so fascinating. It's so gritty and so grounded. It's very different from what we just saw with WandaVision or the cosmic stuff that we're going to see in the new Loki show or the future Guardians of the Galaxy movies. I think that this sort of more tactical, military-themed, boots-on-the-ground kind of anchor in the MCU is incredibly important, and based on what I've seen so far, I would like a second season of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even more so than a movie for these guys. I just think that this series kind of format really fits these characters. I just hope that they, pardon the pun, stick the landing, and these last 2 episodes are awesome. And I've got a couple of quick things to tell you about. We got a new trailer for a Sega Master System remake, Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX. It's a modern remake of a classic Sega Master System game. The title features a mixture of pixel art and hand-drawn work, and they've tightened up the controls to feel more modernized. There is a classic mode in the game that keeps things kind of like the OG game, and they've also added a boss rush mode into the game as well. There are new levels that weren't in the original game that are being applied into this thing, and there's also some remastered music, which is really cool. And publisher Merge Games, of course, has a collector's edition. They call it the Signature Edition. It's got a physical edition of the game, a Master System style collector's box, a key ring, Janken Pawn cards, an art book, a CD soundtrack, some pins, and of course that coveted certificate of authenticity. Alex Kidd in Miracle World DX hits the Nintendo Switch, the PlayStation and Xbox platforms, and the PC on June 24th, and it looks like a blast. And in other fun Sega news, it looks like we might be getting a remaster of the old Wii game, Sonic Colors. The info was leaked on Twitter by an observant fan named Kutairo, who saw that a German dubbing studio was working on Sonic Colors Remastered. Now, Sonic Colors was released originally on the Wii and the DS way back in 2010, and it was well received, and it honestly makes me want to go boot up my Wii and find that disc and play this game again. Don't know when we're getting Sonic Colors Remastered, but it is pretty cool that it does seem to be on the way. All right, you guys, that's going to do it for the rundown today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new episode for you. Thank you to all of our subscribers. And of course, thank you so much to all of our EPN members. We'll see you tomorrow. And until then, play forever.